we finally got the Big Brother 28 cast reveal, or at least most of it. So far, we've been introduced to one player from another reality show and 13 brand new house guests, meaning there's a good chance at least 2 more players will be revealed either during Thursday's premiere or on BB Unlocked. Either way, we've officially got 14 new strangers about to spend the summer lying, backstabbing, and battling it out for the $750,000 grand prize. So before they step into the house, let's go over my first impressions and rank every house guest based solely how likely I think they are to win the game based on first impressions alone. And before we get into this, guys, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified every single time I drop a new video. We will be covering Big Brother 28 all season long, and stay tuned at the end of the video to figure out how we will be covering this season. So without further ado, let's dive in to these player rankings. Coming in at dead last at number 14, I have Mallory. Holy shit. Is that Kelly? During her interview, she didn't really say much outside of, I'm smart, I have a good social game, and I'm athletic. That doesn't really do anything for me. Tell me about how you're going to play instead of just throwing out vague buzzwords. She also talked a lot about being an aerospace engineer, which is cool, but you're not even going to tell the house that you're an aerospace engineer, so again, I'm just not moved. Coming in at number 13, we have Drew. And you will notice throughout this list, I don't know what it is, especially with the dudes, but hair is a theme with this cast, and Drew is bringing a hairstyle unlike anything we've ever seen on Big Brother. According to him, that is his big thing that he is bringing to the house. Drew is young, he's only 22, and claims to be such a fan that he could write a book about the show. Taryn Armstrong, get out of the way. But he also seemed pretty nervous during his interview and gave a lot of generic answers. He kind of gave off Lauren vibes from last season. He's also kind of a walking cliche. He'd say things like he wouldn't mind being in a showmance, but his mom is watching. And he said the line, "This is a game about making friends, but knowing when to get rid of them," like twice. He's somebody who is 100% going to volunteer to be a pawn by like week 3. Coming in at number 12, I have Lyric. Lyric's big brother's guaranteed one attorney per season who's not going to admit that they're an attorney. Is she going to be as dangerous like past lawyer winners such as Ashley or Xavier? Probably not. She says she wants to be a strong social player and a comp beast, which is obviously the ideal combination, so anybody can say this. But Lyric doesn't really strike me as a mover or someone who is going to be in the driver's seat for much of the season. I think she said a lot of the right buzzwords, but she didn't really do much to build my confidence in her as a player. Coming in at number 11, I have Barrett. He came off as a real super fan and strikes me as someone who kind of falls into the Vince and Quinn archetype, and I refuse to be fooled by those types once again. He wants to showmance the entire house and have everyone see him as their friend. That's pretty by the book Quinn and Vince stuff. I'm not really moved by it until I actually see it in practice, because I have been fooled by this before. His weakness being that his mouth gets ahead of his brain also screams Quinn and Vince. I think he's going to say or do something that's going to get him in trouble, and he'll end up being his own worst enemy. He claims that he has the ability to stab people in the back, but at the same time he wants to showmance the entire house. That feels pretty contradictory to me. Right now, he doesn't read as someone who's going to do particularly well or earn a ton of respect as a player. Coming in at number 10, I have Kamu. I do think he kind of falls into another player's kind of archetype or kind of mold that we'll talk about a little bit later, as someone who might be a little too serious or too competitive for his own good. As an MMA fighter, I think he is going to have a strong competitive spirit and do well in the competitions. He also kind of gives off the impression that the strategic side of the game will come pretty naturally to him. I'm just not sure if this cast naturally fits him all that well. There wasn't really anyone from the interviews leading up to his that I felt he would naturally have a really strong one-on-one bond with. That said, I don't want to completely tank his chances. I actually thought he gave a lot of solid answers when it came to how people perceive him and how he plans to navigate those feelings that people will have. Even though I'm not sure he has a natural running mate on this cast, if he can find one and get his feet under him early, I definitely think he could become a real threat. Coming in at number 9, I have Haley. Throughout her whole interview, she sounded very tired and like she didn't really seem like she could be bothered to be there. However, she obviously is physically capable of doing well in the competitions. I think her demeanor could rub people the wrong way. If she finds her people early, like Kamu, like we talked about earlier, I could see her doing well, but naturally she reads a little cold to me, and I think that could hurt her moving forward. She kind of gives me me Misha Tate vibes from Celebrity Big Brother. Misha dominated her competition and won the season, and I think Haley has that same comp beast upside. Unfortunately, I just don't naturally see her meshing with a ton of people on this cast. She even said that her biggest weakness is that she comes across as intimidating, but once people get to know her, she's bubbly and doesn't shut up. I guess we'll see, but I'm just not really sold. I think she's aware of how she comes across, but this feels like a cast that's going to be silly and say a lot of silly things, and I don't know if Haley's patience is going to be there for that. And coming in at number 8, I have Rome. Now, when Rome's name initially scrolled up, I thought it was going to be Rome from Survivor 47 with all the casting, rumors that they're going to cast all these reality all-stars. I was like, oh my God, I thought somebody from Survivor 47 was going to come on, but I didn't think it was going to be Rome, and it was not Rome at all. It was pickleball coach Rome who is coming in and going to be playing a game to protect the nerds of the house. Rome is someone who I think, if he actually plays the way he says he wants to play, could go really far in the game. And like I said, he wants to protect the nerds and the outcasts because he considers himself a nerd and an outcast. He even said that any competition his group needs to win, he's going to win it for him. So the Barretts and Drews that I talked about earlier might have a bit of a savior in Rome. My concern is that he might be a little too competitive for his own good. He initially talked about going in and winning everything before walking it back and saying he'd only win the competitions he needed to. But if he's trying to be the Superman of his alliance, he's probably going to become a target, and I'm not sure how long that playstyle lasts. He also kind of gives me a Tucker vibe. I could see him volunteering for an AI arena, even if it means putting himself in harm's way for the benefit of his alliance. He also admitted he has a loud mouth and likes to talk trash, so I'm not necessarily sure how great of a savior he'd actually be for the people on the bottom if he finds himself on the bottom. But if he really does play this way and does a good job of saving the bottom feeders, it's going to make for some pretty entertaining television. And coming in at number 7, I have Jason from RuPaul's Drag Race, the only reality all-star competitor we got announced here. And I'm not really familiar with Jason or Selena for that matter because I've never watched RuPaul's Drag Race, but when I saw Jason's name pop up, I got pretty excited because at that point in the cast reveal, it felt like we might actually be getting the rest of the reality TV all-stars on the cast, if there were any or if there is any. Since I don't know Jason or what he's like as a player, maybe someone who has watched RuPaul's Drag Race can let me know in the comments what kind of the player they think he'll be. He said he wants to work with the fellas, and I think that could work in his favor. Jason comes across as a really likable guy, and I think he has the potential to stick around for a while. I don't know if there was anything in his interview that screamed strategic mastermind or winner upside, but I do think his personality and likability could carry him pretty deep. And coming in at number 6, I have Taylor. I actually really like Taylor's strategy. She wants a 3-person captain alliance where each of them have a control of a separate alliance, which allows them to work together to maneuver the votes and control the house. Basically, it's a smaller version of the Brigade or the Cookout, or maybe an extended version of Danielle Reyes and Jason Guy's secret duo when you think about it. She seems to think that her biggest strength is going to be her social game, and I believe that. She comes across as someone who could get along with just about anybody. Her biggest weakness is dealing with confrontation, and she doesn't seem all that comfortable when conflict pops up. She said that she's still working on how to deal with conflict, for example. She strikes me as someone who could let her emotions get the best of her in those situations potentially. I think she has a legitimately good strategy if it works. That's obviously a pretty big if, but if she can actually get that structure in place and start driving the game, I think Taylor has a lot of upside. Coming in at number 5, I have Melody. This is the kind of interview that I like. She actually talked about how she wants to play the game, which I always appreciate. She wants to lean into people's perception of her, not revealing that she's a super fan and not letting people know how actively she's thinking about the game. I think that's smart. Slow playing the game in the early stages is always the right move. She's also not open to a showman, which I think is a good thing. Normally, I wouldn't put too much stock into that, but with somebody in Melody's archetype, I actually think that helps her win her chances a little bit. Her biggest weakness, though, is her sensitivity, and I think that's a tough one in the Big Brother house. She even said that if someone is mean to her, she could break down. So I think if things go right, Melody could have a pretty deep run in this game, but if they don't, I could also see her getting labeled as overly emotional. To me, she has one of the higher ceilings on the cast, but also one of the lowest floors. Coming in at number 4, I have Yash. Yash said one of his secret skills is mazes, which, to be fair, there are definitely some maze competitions in Big Brother. He's also clearly a smart guy and comes across as pretty social. I like him a lot. When he was asked about handling conflict, I actually really liked his answer. He said if there's conflict between other people, he'd try to figure out a way to use it to his advantage. He kind of took it from an outside perspective, like what if two people are arguing, how can I use that to my advantage? I like the way that he thought about that question, and that's exactly how you should be thinking about the game when you come in. I also like that he said that his biggest strength is his focus. That's honestly one of the biggest things I look for in new Big Brother players, is how focused they are on winning the game. Then he said that his biggest weakness is hairdressers. Again, I don't know what it is with the hair theme of this season. Yash is also probably someone production absolutely loves, after basically saying, give me more twists, give me more challenges, don't give anyone a fair chance to win. Be careful what you wish for, buddy, because Big Brother will certainly give you a hamster wheel if you come asking for it. I do think Yash is someone who could rub a few people the wrong way, but I can also easily see him meshing really well with this cast. Then when they asked him about his strategy, he hit us with the whole that's top secret thing. That kind of killed it for me a little bit because it's just kind of corny, like just give us something, brother. But overall, I still came away liking him and what he showed us for the most part. Coming in at number 3, I have Ashley. Are we going to get winners with the same name in back-to-back years? It's never happened before, and it'd be kind of a weird anomaly, but I really liked the cut of Ashley's jib, much like I liked Ashley's vibe from BB27. I got a lot of the same feelings watching Ashley's casting interview that I got from Ashley in Big Brother 27. She's a younger woman entering the house who will probably downplay her intelligence and knowledge of the game, but deep down, she's a gamer at her core. She's a fan of the show and claims to be a live feed watcher. She talked about wanting to backstab people, and she would even get a thrill out of doing it, even to her own allies. I do think Ashley's eagerness to play could catch up to her early, but she also said that she wants to lock into a majority alliance early, which makes me think she knows she has to slow play things at the beginning. And coming in at number 2, I have LaTrice. I really like what I saw from LaTrice. Usually when you get the older house guests on the season, they're either a social player, a fan of the show, or surprisingly good at competitions. LaTrice claimed all 3, and that's exciting. She wants to be a social player first, but she isn't afraid to win competitions when she needs to, saying she entered her first bodybuilding competition this year. She's lived a lot of life, man. Her uncle is cool from Kool in the Gang. She was part of a 3-time Grammy Award-winning group. I mean, she really has all the traits to make a deep run, in my opinion. More than anything, though, I think she came across as one of the more focused people on the cast when it came to actually winning the game. That's something that's important to me when I'm ranking these players. Yeah, I'm pretty high on LaTrice. And coming in at number 1 and my winner pick, I have Chuk. Now, last year, my winner pick was Jimmy, and at number 2, I had Ashley. So, potentially LaTrice is the winner, and Chuk is some sort of pre-jury boot. But let me explain to you why I like Chuk so much. So he's not a super fan, he's more of a casual viewer, but he's clearly built for the physical challenges. I really liked something he said about lying, saying you have to lie and make someone believe a truth that's not their truth. I thought that was the best answer anyone gave to the question about lying in the game. He wants to come in and win the women over before getting tight with the guys, which I actually think is a pretty solid strategy, as long as he means building relationships and talking game and not flirting with everyone. I don't think that's what he meant anyway, since he also said he's not interested in the showmance, and later on he mentioned that he was raised by women, so I think that's just where he naturally feels the most comfortable. As for the guys, he plans to cut everyone's hair. Can you believe it? The hair theme concludes here with our winner pick, and he actually started the hair theme, which is actually a pretty good end considering that's one of his skill sets. I think he's going to be hard not to like, and I'd be surprised if he isn't pulled into some sort of majority alliance early. He comes across as really likable, and with how physical Big Brother has become, I think he'll do well in the competitions too. If Chuk can get his footing early, I definitely think he has contender upside and is my Big Brother 28 winner pick, at least for now, until we see who everybody is on the cast. All right, and that is my Big Brother 28 cast assessment for everybody that we know who is on the cast so far. Now, make sure you stay tuned for all my Big Brother 28 videos. We're going to be covering it all season long, and the way that we are going to be doing it for the most part is we are going to be coming out with a video every Monday where we recap the entire week and we give out player rankings, right? We're trying to figure out who the winner of this season is going to be. We're going to be breaking down everybody's game once a week to come to the conclusion on who is the closest to actually winning the game. And, we might have a couple more videos sprinkled in every here and there, but with being a dad and with having a full-time job, I'm going to try to not burn myself out on the Big Brother content, so I can at least promise you guys one video a week where we deep dive into everybody's game, do some player rankings, and figure out who is the closest to winning, who is the next to go home, and what is next in this chaotic Big Brother 28 house. Alrighty, guys, tell me what you guys thought in the comment section down below, and who do you guys think is going to win? Who do you guys think is going to be the first boot of the season? And also check the link down below as well to check out my articles over at inland360.com. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.